Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm going to do my very best to make this a one time commentary and not try and do multiple takes on this, but I wanted to talk about a topic that is pretty personal to me and something I really wanted to, speak on in terms of my generation being Gen Z, probably going to involve Gen Alpha too, most likely, and it even involves earlier generations like millennials. But overall, the topic I wanted to talk about was I think going forward, um, boomers and older generations that just have significantly more wealth than younger generations really should and are going to have to help out their kids and later generations in order for uh, really at least living in the United States, this country to prosper going forward, especially with the emergence of AI and things like this and how many job layoffs I think are going to occur in the future. So real quick, giving you a background of my life. I talked about this in a previous video, but I want to make this video pretty soon on in my uh, YouTube journey because I don't want to give you guys the impression that like I am a rags to riches story. I am absolutely not. I've been very blessed with the household that I've been raised in, and unfortunately, I don't think many people have quite the upbringing that I've been blessed with. But I want to share, what my life has been like, financially speaking and whatnot, and why I think, going forward, I'm really hoping a lot of older generations do kind of what my parents did for me in order to help a lot of kids in my generation get to where I'm at. And I can make videos talking about my net worth and things, which are pretty impressive, I would say, for my age. I'm 25 and I have a net worth of, I want to say, like, I'm probably pushing 230K total net worth. So it's pretty damn good. But, you know, pretty much all of that has been because of the situation I've been born into, frankly. So I was born into, I would say your middle class, standard middle class family. I wouldn't say maybe you consider upper middle class, but we were never, poor or anything like that. We're always doing pretty well. There was never concern for groceries or things like that. So maybe you would even consider us upper middle class. But my dad worked at a local paper mill doing CAD operations, and my mom worked first for a law firm. And she wasn't a lawyer herself, but she worked for the law firm, and then she transitioned to working for a local community college near me. So, my parents had pretty solid jobs, good benefits, things like that, paid for house. Both my parents are boomers, so that also helps. And so I was raised in this very stable household, two parent household up through high school, and I was impressioned on by a very young age about the importance of saving and investing and things like that. And really, I started saving and investing myself at the age of 19, around when COVID started. So I've been given a good impression in terms of saving, investing, things like that. And my parents financially have done well. Never really made any big bad decisions. Never had really any what do you want to call, like, vices, gambling addictions, alcoholism, nothing like that at all. Very very stable household. Raised Catholic, so we went to church every weekend. So that was also a very, another positive thing on my life. So both my mom and dad were very present in my life, which is very good. Which a lot of people today can't say that, unfortunately. So in 2014, my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 3, and he dealt with colon cancer actually for the past like 18 years. Five back in, I want to say, around 2020, 2021. Might have even been 2019. He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. So, and eventually last year, summer of 2024, he did eventually pass after like 18 years, most of my life, fighting cancer. And so, upon him passing, my mom inherited all the investments that he had saved up, and by this time they actually were separated, not fully divorced, but they were separated. But then she got his condo. I got a house, which was her old house. So that's how my net worth is, frankly, over 200,000, is because my house is probably, I live in a lower cost of living town in the United States. So my house is probably like $140,000 in worth. So, upon me saving into my Roth IRA and whatnot, having 50, 60, even now 70,000 in my retirement account, I was also, through inheritance. So it's not like there wasn't a price paid for it, losing my dad, but I've inherited a house as well. So that's really bumped me up. And this entire time when I've been saving into my retirement account, I always worked. So I worked since the age of 17 in high school at my local McDonald's. And, so I was just saving and investing most of that time. And that was because I lived in a house where all my expenses were covered. I didn't have any bills. My parents didn't charge me rent. So I could just work, save money, invest from a very young age, and so on and so forth. So all this being said is, where I am at. Again, I'm not trying to give like a false impression of like, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I did this, from nothing. I absolutely did not. I have gained a lot from the household that I have been raised in, but that's just kind of like a short condensed version of what benefits I've had. And in terms of like college, for example, if you want to talk about more what my parents have done for me, and keep in mind, my parents are boomers, and I really hope more parents, at least if you have boomer parents especially, and they're pretty well off, they do more of these things for any of you guys that might be listening, that might be my age. I went to the local community college that my mom worked at, and so I got free tuition for 3 years, an associate's degree going there in system administration. And then I went to another university nearby to graduate with my bachelor's in cybersecurity. And my parents had another 45,000 in a, education account saved for me. So that covered all my college. So I was graduating college with zero debt, 50, 60,000 in my retirement already, even before hitting my career, got a job out of college. I got scholarships every single year that I was in college, mainly because kids don't apply. I don't understand it, but I was probably, upon all my tuition being covered, I was probably pocketing another, 1,000 a semester for the 3-4 years that I was in college because I would get a scholarship every semester. So I've definitely lived a life where opportunities have just lined up for me kind of like one after another. And there's a lot of discipline and work that goes into that. I'm not trying to undersell myself and say that I've just been lazy and handed everything, because I've definitely worked hard shifts and whatnot. I've done the early shifts of 3:30 in the morning, staying up till 2 a.m. I've definitely worked, I've studied, I've been very disciplined, I've shaken hands, I've networked to get where I am. But it's also heavily because of the foundation that my family built for me in terms of all the opportunities that have aligned for me ever since, just because of where I've been at. And so that kind of gets into my topic today of, going forward. I've read articles about, boomers, and my mom displays it a little bit. I know several boomers that have the mentality of like, they're not going to help out really younger generations or really their kids. I was reading an article recently that boomers are kind of just like going on a spending spree. Like that's the plan. They have the mentality of like, my kids didn't work for my wealth, and so I'm just going to like spend it all. And that's a half truth. I'm definitely not saying they're not hard workers. They definitely are. I think they were a hard, disciplined generation, but they were also given a lot more opportunity, I believe, as well, in comparison to today. And especially with, the jobs that you had back then, coming forward to today just have not kept up with the pace of inflation. So the cost of living is so much significantly higher today than it was back then. My dad had a different mentality. My dad was fully, and maybe, getting cancer had something to do with it. Just kind of looking and understanding more about what life is about. And he made it a prerogative to make sure that I had a lot of opportunity going forward, and that I was going to be set up long term in the future with the wealth that he had built. And I think a lot of boomers and older generations just don't have this mentality anymore. It's, my kids haven't worked for my wealth. I'm not leaving anything for them. I think a record amount of boomers are just going on spending sprees, and they're like, we're going to go on our third trip this year. And, our kids, could just figure it out. And I think, not that people don't deserve to do that. If you worked your whole life and you've saved, you should be able to, live it up towards the end of your life. But I think about going forward, your kids, Gen Z and whatnot, going forward are going to be in a rough situation if you leave nothing for them. And unfortunately, I think that's the way things are going. So I really do hope, and I ask if there happens to be any boomers that come across this video, definitely think about the future and your kids, and also what that mentality, if that's fractured a relationship with your kids or anything like that. I really hope family dynamics can repair, and just think about what kind of legacy you're leaving behind for your kids, and make sure they're set up for the long term. Because that's the mentality that I've been impressed with is that going forward, I really feel like most of my wealth that I generate throughout my life is probably not going to be for me. It's going to be one for my kids to make sure that they're set going forward, especially in these very uncertain times with AI, and I don't even know what the future is going to look like anymore. But also my community. Like I feel like as I have been a very blessed situation, and as I generate more wealth, I am probably just going to like give so much away. Just because I think life is so much, there's so much more to life than just the materialistic, like I'm going to go on my third vacation and just live it up because I can, in my opinion. Maybe you guys feel differently. But, going forward, again, I think if we just continue down this route, it's going to be painful. My generation's probably going to be screwed, if I'm just being honest. And, if boomers, I think boomers hold 60 to 70% of the wealth in the United States. They just go on spending sprees and just give it all to the top companies and just go on cruises and shit. My generation's probably chalked. So, again, let me know what you guys think. What kind of position, you've been raised in. Have you been blessed like I have? Have you been in a lot less fortunate situation? If you have a rags to riches story, I really love to hear it. Again, I could make a ton of videos talking about my net worth and be like, yeah, I'm worth, $250,000 already at 25, and, and just leave out a lot of the stuff that got me here. But I just want to be forthright and upfront about it. It's definitely not because, again, like I said, guys, that I'm just out here killing it and I work harder than everybody else. The fact of the matter is, we're all dealt a certain set of cards when we're born. And some of them, frankly, are just significantly better than what others have gotten. And I think on a general level, I think the boomer generation, just in general, was given a more favorable hand dealt set of cards than later generations. And I'm not saying that there's no boomer that hasn't been screwed or hasn't done very well or was dealt, a shit hand. But generally speaking, I would say, back then, you had a lot more local U.S.-based job opportunity that, compared to inflation, was paying pretty damn well. I mean, my dad went to a university at 17 straight out of high school for $25 a credit hour at a local high-quality tech university, and he paid for the whole year with a summer job, at 18. That just doesn't happen today. I think I did the math. College costs since 1970s, when he was going to college, has gone up 2,800%, at least specifically at that college I was researching, if you're going off of credit hour. That's insane. You're averaging a 60% increase every year since the 70s. And there's nothing you could invest in since then to make up for that. It's just, everything today is just very high cost. And that's why unfortunately, a lot of people are turning towards figures like Mandami and in politics and things like that, because things just cost so damn much. People don't think there's really the American dream anymore that's achievable. I really do believe that. And, while some people like myself are doing very well, I think most are hurting. I could be wrong. Again, tell me what you guys think down below. But I think going forward, I'm definitely going to try to do a lot more to help out a lot more people in my community, especially people my age. And I do think fundamentally too, as a Christian, whether you guys are atheist or not, it doesn't really matter. That just feels like fundamentally to me, that's something I need to do and help out other people. But again, leave a comment down below of what you guys think. Again, what kind of situation you've had in your life. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and you can look forward to seeing more videos here and there from me going forward. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and stay safe, and keep grinding, and hope you guys do well. See ya.